concerned about the mental health of the kids in your life, whether it's your life, your district, or your community? Yeah, me too. And we have reason to be. We are not being overdramatic. The CDC in November of 2020, almost a year ago, and we know the multiple crises are that we've all been through since then. October of 2020, the CDC reported there was a, let me check my figures, 24% increase in the numbers of 5 to 11-year-olds that were coming to the emergency room for mental health reasons. To the emergency room for mental health reasons. That same time period, there was a 31% increase in the same visits for 12 to 17-year-olds. So that, to me, we're in crisis. It's not a problem anymore. And we know the long-lasting ill effects mental health can take on the individual, if that's not heart-wrenching enough. And then you look at it from an educator's eyes, and you know that a child suffering mental health issues, once they're in school, that manifests itself as behavioral issues, as bullying, as kids who don't come to school, kids who check out, they're not engaged, so they suffer academic difficulties, substance abuse, violence, over-sexuality, all those detriments to a growing human being. That's a real problem. So one of the things we wanted to do here was offer a parenting solution based on mental health, right? So this is a series to help parents with what they need to know and be able to do to sow and grow the seeds of mental health. So not only will that work for us in education, supporting academic success, but it also promotes healthy development, which we need for a healthy society. So what this is an introduction for is a series of 12 parenting sessions, workshops, whatever, professional development for parents through the lens of mental health. Of course, there'll be regular parenting tips and family, but the mental health lens will help us focus on child development, cognitive psychology, neurolinguistics, neuroeducation, and mindful practices. Those 5 pillars are what make up the foundation of the 12 sessions. So under this video, there is a link to a deeper description, pricing, and how you would bring this to your district, to your school, to your university, to your company, right? Whoever we are, if we employ adults, most of those adults have children, or many of those adults have children in their life. So any way that we can use our leadership to put this in the hands of parents is helpful to your organization, be it business or education. So what I want to do right now is I'm just going to give you a slight sample. Most of the sessions are 30 minutes in length. I tried to make them shorter, but to make them be valuable, to be of value, they just needed to be slightly longer. And each video comes with a text set underneath it, but you'll see that. So this will be a couple slides into a sample of parenting and, let me get myself out of the way of the title, and adolescent brain, right? The 12 sessions in this series, we know we're focused on mental health, and they're all about how do we support our kids to be safe in this world. So about this series, I will use the word parent. Know that I certainly am not isolating this to biological parents. When I use the word parent, it's all encompassing, and it applies to any caregiver right now who finds themselves supporting young folks in their growth. And under this video, there's a link to a tech set. A tech set is a curated list of resources put together by me that support the content of this session. We all have a different approach to parenting. So I am not here to say, this is the way you do it, and here's how you do it. I'm here to say, here what the research tells us, and here's some different ways you can accomplish what's right for you and what's right for your family. So in this curated list, you will find videos, you will find research, you will find activities, and links to other places that I think could have supportive resources for you. So our guiding question for you and your adolescent's brain is, what was nature thinking when it designed the adolescent brain? Because boy, they are different for a while. And importantly, how can we use what we know about the neurobiological changes that your young child, your young person is going through to inform our family activities and our family relationships? And the why is because oftentimes our adolescents seem like aliens came down and took their brain for a while. And when are you returning my kid, right? But it's simply, as parents, as caregivers, as adults, we need to understand that their brains are doing exactly what nature intended to do so that they could grow into independent, whole, contributing citizens of our society. So here's the 4 traits that we're looking at in today's session. And we're looking at, these are, yeah, I'm sure you've already had conversations with your kids if you have adolescents around these 4. And that's peer acceptance. Yes, your kids think their peers are way more important than you. That's just a fact, and it's a need. Risk-taking, sensation-seeking, and reward-seeking. We're going to focus first on risk-taking. And when we say risk-taking in adolescence, we can get scared, right? We can think about reckless behavior. We can think about addiction. We can think about gang activity. We can just think of, there's so many ways that an adolescent can scratch this itch, because that's exactly what it's like. These needs that we have, they're biological. There are so many ways that we would rather our kids not. So how can we guide them to take risks, right? Satisfy that need, but that the risks that they take aren't going to end up in some awful scenario that we don't want. And a reminder, risk-taking is an antidote to boredom. And over the past few, maybe almost 2 years, our kids have had a lot of opportunity to be bored because of the forced social isolation they've been under. So not only is it a need, but it's also an antidote to boredom. So just to give you a little insight into your adolescent's head, researchers, I think it was in Stanford, set up this experiment. They offered adults and kids 11 to 18 the opportunity to play Russian roulette for $1 million. Every adult said no. Adolescents, your kids, 50% of them said sure. Because in their thinking, $1 million is a lot of money, and the risk they're taking isn't very big because the odds are in their favor. Yeah, that's logical and sane at the same time. To me, that one research kind of captures what we're working with, right? So risk-taking. But what are huge risks that we take that the only thing they're going to affect is our ego? And that's things like a poetry jam evening, an open mic night, right? We know that for many people, public speaking is rated as a higher fear than death. Public speaking is huge. And right now with social media, there are so many ways that kids can create something and put it out there, which is taking a big risk. So they can go to a slam night, they can go to an open mic night, or they can drive reckless, or they can engage in some risky sexual behaviors, or they can experiment with some drugs that we know right now many are tainted with fentanyl, right? Or how about playing a level up in sports? Maybe they're a recreational league player right now. How about they try out for a travel team or an AAU team? Are they into farming or pets or things like that? If you have a 4-H chapter near you, an Eagle Scout, they can show their dog, show their cat, show their gerbil, right? Or even maybe organize a small pet show. I'm not talking about Westminster, but a small community show. They've got to train, they're taking a big risk, they've got themselves and their pet out in front of the community. So that's risk taking, that's the reality. There's some suggestions for, I call them safe risks, right? You know your kids, I don't. What safe, parent approved, risky behaviors do you think you could get them involved with? And what would be super helpful and super awesome is when you think about some different things that I didn't mention, what I think I mentioned 4 on the last slide, add them in the comments under this video. And that way you build the capacity of all the parents, which is such a wonderful, generous thing to do. So thanks everyone who watched up to this point. If that was the real session for parents, I just keep going now with the other 3s and we have this beautiful closing, but that gives you a sense of what it is. I am really hopeful that you find this resource as valuable as it's intended to do. If you know us at all, or if you're just meeting us, our goal has been since 1999 up until now to minimize the mental health fallout, and currently to minimize mental health fallout from the plethora of crises that we still find ourselves in. Click on that link. You'll see what's in the series, what the financial investment would be on your side, and how to contact us. Thanks. Be well, be safe,